one team that was able to find a way to defeat my Detroit Lions was certainly the Seattle Seahawks, who the Lions have not beaten in Seattle since 1999. That trend continues as they lost 51-29. And it should have really been 58-29, but they took mercy on the Lions and went into victory formation inside the 5-yard line as time expired, instead of trying to score those 58 points because the game was so out of hand at that point. The Lions did start out the game with a defensive stop on the first drive, and then subsequently gave up 9 consecutive scoring drives to finish the game, which should have been 10 if not for the mercy of Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. So that was the Lions defense in a nutshell. About as poor a performance as I've seen them have, which they've actually been, of all things, the defense has actually been pretty damn decent most of the season. It's just other areas have failed them. So, which is fine. They clinched the number 2. It can be no worse than the number 2 slot in the draft as the second worst team in the NFL. They still have a shot at the number 1 pick if somehow Jacksonville beats Indianapolis this weekend, which I don't think is going to happen, but and the Lions lose to the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay is not starting anybody I wouldn't think of consequence because they have already clinched the bye and have nothing to play for. Although they have the week after this off, so maybe they don't want everyone to rest too long. There's those schools of thought, rest versus rust. So we'll see. Regardless, do not bet on that Lions-Packers game because none of that's going to make any sense because nobody knows who's playing or what's going on. So that's my bit of amateur gambling advice. But
I pretty much whatever you think is going to happen in the NFL right now, just bet the opposite because that's pretty much how things have gone. I mean, I didn't see the Steelers winning last night over Cleveland, and they did it quite easily.
Yeah, it was easy. Well, I don't want to completely ignore the rest of the Lions' performance on Sunday. There were some bright spots. The aggressive Dan Campbell out aggressive himself once again, going for it on 4th down like clockwork in the first quarter, failing to get to the line to gain like clockwork. Then he challenged the spot, which led to the loss of their timeout, which again, it's first quarter in a meaningless game in a meaningless season. Why not be crazy aggressive? Who cares even about your timeouts in the first half? That's fine. They had a onside kick that actually did work. They took the ball starting the second half, went down the field and scored, got the onside kick, went down and scored again, 2 long touchdown drives, and basically used up the entire third quarter, which is kind of an amazing thing. An impressive, it's a good strategy when the defense is giving up touchdowns basically on every drive. Don't give the other team the ball, and that was working for a bit. Unfortunately, Lions were still down 23 points at that point, so it was not gonna do them much good. They did have a fancy tackle eligible play for a touchdown where Taylor Decker actually caught a touchdown pass. So the creativity of Dan Campbell, the Danimal Cannibal, as I like to call him, knows no bounds. For better or worse, he is an aggressive motherfucker. So, I mean, again, this is a season where he can do crazy shit and get away with it because it doesn't really matter right now. Maybe he's learning from these things. I don't know if these will continue, but it's making horrible games a little bit interesting. The best bright spot of this game, besides clinching the number 2 slot in the draft, was again Amon-Ra St. Brown. He became the first NFL rookie to have 5 consecutive games with 8 catches apiece. I can't believe that's never been done before, but a rookie has never done that in the NFL, 5 straight games with 8 catches. He had another 111 yards and a touchdown reception. He had a 2-point conversion. He also had a rushing touchdown and 23 yards rushing. So he's a fucking weapon for the Lions. He's really he's essentially a slot receiver. He's their number one receiver right now, but he's essentially a slot receiver that in any other offense that has some receiver talent, he would be the quintessential slot receiver. That's where it gives me some hope. With so many draft picks coming up for the Lions in this draft and in next year's draft, there's no reason why they can't secure at least a top college wide receiver out of the draft, and maybe in free agency they can add to that. That's why there's a possibility to turn things around, hopefully fairly quickly, as we're starting to see a little bit of talent emerge in this team, even though the record is now 2-13-1. So I mean, basically, like I said, they can't improve their draft slot by losing to Green Bay this weekend, or winning. If they lose, there's still the outside chance that Jacksonville could actually win and move the Lions up to number one. I'm not sure it actually matters, because the more analysis I've heard, and of course we were very early into draft season already, as the season hasn't even ended, but it looks, there's a lot of speculation that Jacksonville would want an offensive tackle with the number one pick anyway to protect Trevor Lawrence, as they have actually loaded up on defensive ends for the last few years. So there's a possibility the Lions could have their pick of defensive ends, game wreckers, as I would like them to draft. And it seems to be that that's the consensus, as they'll either go after Michigan's Aiden Hutchinson or Oregon's Kayvon Thibodeau. I don't know. I mean, of course, I'm not a Michigan fan, and I think there might be a little bit of overhype for Aiden Hutchinson. There's a little proximity bias as he's played his games just miles down the road from the Lions. So everyone's seen him play a million times and have been impressed. Certainly impressive in the Ohio State game. Not so much in the college football playoff this week, as Georgia kind of manhandled him, which is a little disturbing. Kayvon Thibodeau, I haven't seen a whole lot of, and he didn't play in this bowl season, which is disappointing. So it's really going to come down to the combine, is where the measurables might differentiate those two. So I guess if the Lions are, if the Jaguars draft an offensive tackle, the Lions have their pick of defensive ends. Hopefully they can't go wrong with that. But as we've seen with SOL, everything that can go wrong will go wrong for the Lions. So yeah, get ready for 4 months of draft breakdown from now on for me, at least, and mock drafts, and looking at all the picks and all the possibilities for the Lions as they pick twice in the first round, twice in the second round this year. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be early and late in the first, and not early and halfway through the first, as I was hoping the Rams would fall on their faces with Matt Stafford and his schizophrenic performances over his career, I'd say. As I mentioned before, he had another pick six, his league leading fourth pick six of the season. That moves him into fourth overall in history for pick sixes. I think he has 13 interceptions on the year now. Might be 14. So I mean, they're still winning, and they're in a good spot. But you could see how Matt Stafford could totally bite them in the ass come playoff time. You can't get away with interceptions, turnovers, especially pick sixes at playoff time, and that is what he's done throughout his career at the worst possible moments. He puts up massive numbers, and then at the worst possible moments, he bites you in the ass, and that's the last thing you're looking for in the playoffs. So,
Word Hole Media.